want to still look for its conjugate as a tool to help us develop our clever version of 1. So my denominator, well, what's the conjugate of 3i? Well, maybe to be helpful, let's rewrite that in its complex form. Its complex form, remember, is 0 plus a 3i. There's no real component to that. So what's the conjugate of that? Well, the conjugates could be 0 minus 3i, or just a negative 3i. So that's what I'm going to use then as my process to develop my clever version of 1. Negative 3i. And now from there, I can use that as a way to help reduce and simplify this. So the denominator, negative or 3i times a negative 3i, that produces a negative 9i squared. And you're right, that does reduce and clean up here a little bit. The numerator, I guess I'm multiplying that negative 3i across both terms. So negative 3 times 15i, that gives me a negative 15i squared plus a 12i. Now, let's do some cleanup work. Negative 15 times an I squared, that's negative 15 times a negative 1. So that becomes 15 plus a 12i. And negative 9 times I squared again is a negative 1. So negative 9 times negative 1 produces a positive 9. And there's my final result. It looks like I might be able to factor out a 3 from both terms, so let's see what happens. This becomes a 5 plus a 4i, and I have a 3 times a 3 on the bottom. So doing that, I can factor out a 3. Then I'm left with a 5 plus a 4i divided by a 3.